Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Five Review. Today we'll be talking about if female athletes deserve the same pay as men. Samiksha, you want to start? Ladies first.
Yeah, okay. I completely believe that women do deserve equal pay in sports or any kind of industry. It doesn't matter. And there's a lot of difference in pay gap in a lot of sports. And only in a few sports like tennis that the gap has been, reduced to a large extent,
No, it's the
which is
same.
great.
It's the
Sorry?
same. They paid the
Yeah,
same.
it's the same. It's the same, yeah. But in a lot of other sports, the disparity between the incomes of women and men is humongous. To an extent, it isn't even right.
I'll cut you off there because the disparity in income is so large in some sports like football because the disparity in quality is also large. So if you're looking at football, for example, the best actually the most paid footballer in the world is Messi according to last year's report. Yeah, he's paid $141 million totally, sponsorship, wages, everything. The most paid female footballer is this woman called Carly Lloyd, who's paid $518,000. So so she's paid 272 times less. Now, if many people get triggered by this, but then you can't compare Lionel Messi to this Carly Lloyd, or you can't compare Cristiano Ronaldo to this Carly Lloyd. So, how
First of all,
can
you
you
shouldn't
explain?
even be comparing them. They're in two separate leagues for a reason.
Exactly.
Like you're comparing like apples and oranges here. They're completely different leagues from each
Why
It's
other.
would you
like it's
compare
like
their pay?
comparing.
So why would you compare their pay?
Yeah,
Obviously, if Messi is better, and if you can't compare, then obviously you salary
No,
also
but
you can't compare.
if
you prove my point.
if a team is at the top of their game in their league, they deserve to be paid, right? They deserve to be paid at the same equal level.
It's like
No.
you wouldn't compare Jordan to Michael Jordan to a football player like Ronaldo because they're playing different sports. But would you compare the amount of money they're getting? Yes. Through sponsorships, yes, you would. You would compare the kind of impact they've had in their sport. You're comparing it. There are few aspects where you compare because you can't compare how they play because it's a completely different ball game, literally.
Wow. Okay, so if you compare, say, Megan Rapinoe, who I think is the best best women's football player, and you compare Ronaldo, do you think Megan Rapinoe is as good as Ronaldo? Because
Even
because
close.
because
It doesn't
you
matter if
slowly
she's
paid.
as good as Ronaldo. She's the best
Okay.
in her field.
So
Okay,
she's
I
the
also
best
like
in her
to
field, so she gets paid the best in her field.
Yeah.
wait. I'd like to tell you something. Wait. I'd like to bring in a point. Think about why women are paid. I mean, why women play much worse than men. Because I can the amount of opportunities that women are getting is only as of now. It's not something they've been getting for a long time. That kind of culture hasn't been built. Like I can give you an example. The NBA started in it's almost been like a century. But the WNBA has hardly been there for like 30 years. So
Okay.
you can't
Okay.
so that's a reason. And the thing is that when you pay women less, they won't be motivated as much. So when you pay them more, when you give them more of your support,
It's
they
not
will
even about
be
the
more
pay. You
motivated.
got to invest because let's look at the
Okay, wait,
facts
wait.
here. Yeah,
You're talking about why they play bad or why they play comparatively not as good compared to men, right? But okay, yeah. So you agree that they're not on the same level. Then how can you expect them to be paid the same right now? I'm not talking about in the future. In the future, definitely, if they give that
Yeah,
value of
even I
entertainment,
agree.
fine.
if they reach the value of
Okay,
entertainment,
Future
pay
we
the
all
same.
agree, but right now, how would you get to the future if you don't do something about it right now?
I'm talking about the
Exactly.
present. I'm talking
So
about the present.
even
I'm talking about the wages right now.
okay, I'm gonna compromise and I'll say okay, fine, not even equal pay. There is a disparity in the investment being made, the sponsorship. But women definitely have to be paid more. Let me give you an example, yeah.
But that's not the debate. The debate, okay, I agree women need to get paid more. I agree. But that's
But
not
that's
the
the first step. That's the first
So
step.
that's the first step before
So,
equal
for
pay.
them to
Pay
get
them more.
You need to bridge the gap.
I agree with you. Pay them more, but you shouldn't pay them equal. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me just break this down for you. Fahd and Tejas, why would you watch a men's game over a women's game?
Because it's better quality.
Better quality.
I don't
Yeah,
want I don't want to make better quality. Give me a proper reason. What motivates you to watch a men's game over a women's game?
Because it's more entertaining.
Why do you think it's
You
more
can learn
entertaining?
more.
Because there's a lot of hype around it, right?
Oh, because they play. They're better players.
Wait, how do you know about football? Like, you would
Because
watch.
you watch like
Wait,
Not
you
very
would.
much.
You guys watch the Premier League, right? You would watch a male's Premier League game because of the hype. Also, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons you watch the Premier League, correct? Because of the hype. You don't watch the because there are other leagues that aren't as popular, right? So the one
they
reason
aren't
is
as
because of sponsorship. So one thing we need to give is attention to the women. That the player that you named, the US, once when she went into an interview, she was asked, what can the audience as a whole do? It's give them support. So it's not like I say, okay, fine, pay them higher and suddenly they'll be paid higher. It's as a society, we need to support them more because that's what we need.
Definitely. See, if I agree with you that I definitely feel like they will get better, and they might even reach the same level as men in the future, like maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Okay, but as of right now, I don't see a reason why people should go around saying that women should be paid the same as men. Because first of all, the biggest point is the revenue which men generate when it comes to sports. When it comes to, okay, I'll give you the biggest example, the World Cup. Right? We've talked about this before. The World Cup, the prize money for men was $400 million, but for women, it was just $30 million.
It's
But
billion though. Like
no, million.
No. That's an investment. Sorry, my bad. My bad. The investment was like $1 billion or so. My bad. The investment made the sponsorship. Sorry. I'm not stupid.
So 400 million versus 30 million, but the revenue which men's World Cup generated in 2018 was 6.1 billion. Okay,
Yeah.
billion.
Tell me how revenue is
Compared to-
generated. Please explain
compared
to me
to
how you think.
131 million.
Wait.
No, explain to me how
One
revenue
second.
is generated.
Wait.
Ticket
I'd
sales.
also like to wait.
TV
Can I just bring in one point here?
Yeah.
See, now when we're talking about it, one of the biggest things that came into light was the fact that the US women's team talked about how they were paid less, even though they won the World Cup, compared to the men,
Okay,
the US men's team, who didn't even make the semi-final. 1 second, I'll tell you why. You talk about viewership. The viewership in America, where soccer is not a very popular sport, was the highest ever compared to men's. So you can't even bring the thing about viewership. They should have been paid more. They won.
Yeah,
They
but
brought
that's
glory to
one
their country.
exception. See, that's one exception because over there, I 100% agree that it makes no sense where a team wins a World Cup and they get paid less compared to a team which doesn't even qualify for the World Cup. I 100% agree with you over there, but that's just one exception because over there, they were definitely unfairly treated and it was completely unjust. I 100% agree with you there. But when it comes to, let's say, a more common platform, let's say women's Premier League versus men's Premier League. Okay, the Chelsea women's team won the Premier League, but I'm sure that they wasn't paid the same compared to a Chelsea team who finished third, or even if the Chelsea team finished seventh out of the 20 positions. I'm still pretty confident that they'll be paid more because of all the TV sponsorship that comes, all the other brand sponsorship that comes, Nike and everything, the viewership, the ticket sales, all of that just is way more than the women's.
You had mentioned something about the revenue, right? Like the men's league brings in more revenue. What constitutes revenue, Fahd? Can you please explain? Like, tell me what all constitutes this revenue.
This thing, TV rights,
Okay.
like TV broadcasting it, ticket sales of the stadium, jersey sales of the stadium.
Yeah.
Merchandise.
And what else? Sorry.
All kinds of merchandise. That
Yeah,
the
all
team
kinds
has.
of-
all of this that constitutes the revenue that a team brings. It starts with investment, correct? all these billionaires or whoever invests in these teams, they're investing money, and because of the money that they invest, and because they invested that long ago, the returns are coming now. Agreed?
But
Right?
they only invest for a reason.
Can you let me finish?
If I invest in Newcastle's women's team, the amount of money that the investor only looks at money. He doesn't care about anything. He only wants money. If he invests in Newcastle's women's team and he invests in Newcastle's men's team, the amount of revenue he's going to get from Newcastle's men's team is going to be some 50 times
But that's
more.
because
than
the
he gets from
women's team is
Newcastle's
not
team,
giving
plus
enough.
the B division of their county.
That's the whole problem. Do you not see the bigger picture here?
See, I would agree
Why
with you
do
over
you
there.
think
But
men's
that's for the
getting so
long
much
term.
ROI right now? It's because someone invested back then and it's given so much importance. You both know that if it's a thing, if you don't watch sports and if you're a dude, you're given a lot of shit because you're given a lot of you're given a lot of crap for it because it's just the maleness is defined as to be all towards sports and stuff. But if you don't give that kind of attention to women, how do you expect them to invest?
See, moreover, investors, I just want to add in, investors, when they're investing, obviously they look for return. What do they see when they're investing? They look at potential of growth. And that's what we need to show, that we need, as a society, obviously it's the fault of some of the people. As a society, we need to watch more women's sports so that they can earn more, so they can progress.
But
as much as
you're asking audiences to watch something that they're not interested in just because they want women's sports to grow.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
No.
asking? Because
How do you have to garner the interest in the first place to get
Shambhavi. As much as I want there to be more investment, more hype, more popularity with women's sports, with women's Premier League, with women's World Cup, the question then comes is women's football and men's football. What's the difference? It's just a woman playing it and a man playing it, right? So it's wait 1 second. Before you get triggered, look. Obviously, men's football was brought about long ago, and women's football they were given no rights, right? So if you're looking at a men's Premier League match, what is a women's Premier League match bringing in except the fact that women are playing it? There's nothing new in it. So what are the fans like? You're forcing them to watch the football match
there's
just
nothing
because
new
it's
except
women.
there's nothing new except that the men just play better.
You realize women got the right.
Wait, but then I'd also like to bring in the fact that I think it's absolutely necessary for players like JP, Alex Morgan and all to talk about the wage gap, because that brings more awareness and tells people to watch. Because that's bringing interest also. So maybe I don't want to watch because I want to watch football, whether it's women or men. So as a woman, I would look at how a woman plays rather than a man, because that's the kind of league I would compete in. But
Okay. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, because me and Fahad and I say that we watch football because we want to see quality. It's the same reason that we watch Real Madrid versus Barcelona over Norwich versus Bournemouth. So the same thing, we'd rather watch Norwich versus Bournemouth men's team than Arsenal versus Chelsea women's team, because Norwich versus Bournemouth is just better. They just play a higher level.
The point Samiksha and Shambhavi are trying to make is basically more girls would be attracted to watching women play football because it's something they would look up to.
That's not the case. Because
even now, I mean, I'm very ashamed. As a woman, I can name players from a lot of male sports from the tip of my fingers, but I can't from women, and that's my fault, and I completely admit it. But how can we grow up in a society where we teach women and young girls that no matter how hard they work, they would never be paid even close to what a man is paid?
Also, one more thing.
That's just what makes me feel bad, because we live in a society that's so inclusive, as they say, but really it's not in a lot of ways.
And also, Fahd, one more thing you said, that the difference between a men's game and a women's game is the gender or the sex. You're making the issue very black and white. It's not black and white at all. There's a whole history behind men's teams and women's teams right now. the women weren't even allowed to play. Just a few.
But now they are.
But
that
not
is
in,
really not.
wait,
That's
I'd
the
also
point.
like to, if we can talk about a sport other than soccer, like about ice hockey, which is a very popular sport in Canada. There is no professional league that they have for women, but there is for men. And they're paid around like 13, like the highest paid male is like 15 million.
Okay,
And
okay.
And a woman got paid $7,000 yearly. That's the highest.
Okay.
And that's just insane. That's a kind of.
Let me ask you as a fan, as a spectator who likes sports. If there is a women's ice hockey new league, would you watch over a men's?
But the viewership would increase for sure.
Viewership
would be.
Would you watch it? No.
Wait, are you?
It depends on
I'd also,
marketing a lot.
so are you saying there should be no professional league for women
There
at all?
should be. There should be, but you can understand why there isn't. Because because the amount of money that someone is going to get by putting money into their.
But that's an assumption you're making. That's an assumption you're making.
I definitely want
You
a
never.
women's league, but see the point. But Tejas and I were talking about football, where we were saying the difference in quality, right? And we say that if they do reach the same quality as men, we definitely are for that they should be deserve the same pay. I think the biggest example we can give is tennis. I would still watch Serena Williams versus someone else.
Wait,
If you
I'd like
play
to.
Serena Williams versus the world number 3 in tennis, they'd be more or less equal, and that's why they deserve more pay.
Wait, 1 second. Okay, you talk about tennis. Let's talk about how long women have been playing tennis. In 1968, there was a wage gap, where there's this lady called Billie Jean King, where she spoke about the wage gap. And they've been fighting from 1968. And the time they got equal pay was 2007. So that's how long the fight is.
2007, who started playing?
What?
Who started playing in 2007?
There was the Williams sister.
The
Miss
Williams
Williams.
sisters. And how good are the Williams sisters compared to men's? They're more or less equal.
Yeah, if not,
Dude,
Serena
I'd like
Williams
to-
is better than
And
If
90%
Megan
of the
Rapinoe is as good as Ronaldo, pay her the same as Ronaldo.
yeah.
But she's not.
That's what even I'm saying.
But she still deserves more. Okay, fine. I'm not even talking
I
about.
agree, she deserves more. But that's not the debate. The debate is if she deserves equal pay as.
But how will she ever be paid equal? By paying her more. Because this kind of change doesn't happen in like a day or two.
Yeah,
where someone's like, oh,
imagine it's
now.
just like bad pay and then completely equal pay. It's a process. It's a step
Yeah,
towards the right
and
direction.
see-
You can't just immediately give them equal pay. Of course not.
Yeah,
But the
see,
more you
I-
invest, the more the revenue comes. The more the revenue comes, the more these people get paid to a point where they reach equality. But if the men or if the investors aren't even giving the ROI in the first place, the investment in the first place, how do we start? It's as simple as that.
Do you
It's
think
basic
men
economics.
started with a great investment? They also didn't start with a
Yes.
massive investment.
Yes, they did.
When football
no.
started,
No.
do you think someone invested $10 billion? Of course they didn't.
No, but
People just
someone
played.
believed
That's why we're
enough
talking
in-
about a
someone
step-by-step
believed enough in
gradual
men's sports to
process.
invest.
Okay, so
Someone
I
believed
agree.
enough to
Step by step.
invest, right? And now
So
look
step
where
by
it's
step you
happening.
increase. Step by step you increase. You can get them close or whatever, but they shouldn't be equal.
Yeah, for now they cannot be equal unless the same quality is there.
Exactly.
Definitely, I agree with investment. I definitely agree with giving it time, sponsorship, everything it
First
deserves.
of all, you're comparing men's
What?
quality and women's quality. I don't know why they're playing in two separate leagues. We made this point at the beginning itself.
So how can you compare
Then-
the
then how
salaries?
do you
I don't
expect-
understand.
Then how do you
If you
expect
can't
them to
compare
play
their
the same?
quality, how can you compare their salaries?
But
So
then
if
again,
you're working,
again,
if you're working
we
in a
still-
normal job, a normal 9 to 5
But
job,
this is less than a
if
minimum.
someone is just like sitting and doing nothing, and someone is actually like performing and getting you results, who would you pay? Obviously, that guy.
Wait.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
think
One
that's a
second.
fair-
Are you
I think
saying
that's a
women are
fair
doing
example.
nothing?
No, as in obvious. No, I didn't. I mean, they're not doing nothing, but they're doing much less.
How? Okay.
Let me just take a minute.
You just will get cancelled now.
It's not. It's not like I didn't mean like they're doing nothing. I meant that they're doing
Okay,
less.
okay.
They're doing less.
They're doing less.
Women's
Yeah, they
women's leagues are
No,
playing
no.
more matches now, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
But they aren't doing
They play
as
more
much.
matches in a league than men's matches.
He's performing. Women are performing. Performance in
Okay,
football
wait,
is.
guys.
I will correct my example. My example was a high quality performer versus a performer who isn't as high quality. That's the analogy. So you would obviously pay more to the high quality performer than you would to the performer who isn't as high quality. That's what I meant to say.
But at the same time, we're saying that the low quality person can get the same level as the other.
Yeah.
It will take time, but as of right now and as for the near future, they deserve more, but not the same.
See, okay, let's use the same analogy. Okay, you have the low quality player and the high quality player. Okay, you're looking at it as black and white. I'll pay the high quality player more because it's high quality. Fair? Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yes.
Now, you need to understand that it's not just a black and white issue. One, because you're looking at it as low quality, high quality. You're not considering timeline. You're not considering investments. Nothing at all. You're considering this. I don't know why you're not. Because the low
But
quality.
Shambhavi, as much as I'd like to agree with you, investments come in because of their so-called quality. It comes in because of the kind of
So-called, first of
viewership
all.
it has.
First of all, it's not so called. It is very evident. But okay, you can continue.
See, all I'm saying is that you can't expect the lower quality to be at the same level when they've not had the same amount of time to progress into better quality. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what we'll give time, we'll give investment, we'll give everything they deserve, facilities, same as man, everything. But in 5 years, in 7 years, in 5 years, do you see them being the same level?
In
But
5
if
years, do you see
I
a
love
woman?
how-
Do you
I
see
love-
a woman Ronaldo?
I
Do you
love
see a
how
woman level Messi? Do you see it?
I love how Fahad is saying we will give them, like he's
Yeah,
organizing
he is.
everything. He is the man. No, but you
But
also
do
have
you-
to take into consideration.
In all
Fine,
honesty-
if you talk about exact same quality. I'll have to say this. Physically, men are better than women in a few aspects, and I'll say that out loud. And this is proven biologically, scientifically. Even if you see athletics, a sport where I think there's lesser wage gap than normal, the timings of men and the timings of women, there's a big disparity. Yet the viewership is very similar. So the quality is not something that can be compared because biologically we're different. Yes, it can be improved, it can be progressed, but we have to make a move by paying them more, by giving them more attention and viewership.
And by the way, it's
But I
not
don't
every
agree
sport
with-
that's demanding equal pay. Not every sport is demanding equal pay. If you notice, the people who are demanding equal pay are the ones that are at the top of their game and are not being paid the same as their male counterparts. That's what
Okay,
it is.
who's Megan Rapinoe in your opinion? You are saying as the male counterpart. Who is Megan Rapinoe's main counterpart?
Well, I don't watch much of.
Okay, exactly. Samiksha, who's Megan Rapinoe's main male counterpart? Exactly.
I don't know
Wait,
much.
but what do you mean by exactly? What do you mean by exactly though? Why do
Because-
we have to equate male players to female? They're not something
equating
which is
is salary.
drawing.
You're
Because-
equating their salary, but you can't equate their capability.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then again, we're made biologically different. Even if we're not like that's just somehow we're made. So even if you ask maybe Serena Williams to play Roger Federer, she may lose because biologically we're made differently.
100%. She may lose, but she may lose by maybe one set or by two sets. If you play Brazil World Cup team versus USA World Cup team, USA World Cup team lost some 6-0 to a bunch of 15-year-old boys. If you play
You're
the US
comparing
World Cup,
apples
Wait.
and oranges.
Are you saying female teams are not allowed to have bad days? Every team has a bad day. That was probably a bad
6-0,
day. You can't-
6-0
even
isn't
if
a bad
Barcelona
thing.
plays their Z team, they won't lose against a 15-year-old
But there have been cases where people have played absolutely terribly. I haven't done research on this, I'm going to be completely honest. But I can give you where people, there's a lot of things where the favorite doesn't win and they lose to a complete, because it's just not their day. And you can't just say that because women are losing to this as what do you call that? As a reason for not paying them enough because of the kind of like how they lose. Because if they do, you should.
What is he
I
doing?
think Tejas has that enough. So I think we'll stop there. I think he's leaving also.
Yeah, man, he's just walking out of the conversation.
So let us know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree with Tejas and I, or do you agree with Samiksha
More
and Shah?
importantly, do you agree with Tejas' analogy?
Yeah, very, very important question.
Okay, we'll end it there. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us, and bye. I think Tejas also left before
He just got.
He
before
couldn't
any more.
take it. He couldn't
It's gonna
take
get
the
cancelled.
fact.
It's so
Gonna get
angry.
cancelled.